evening and Eid Mubarak to the Muslim faithful. As usual, this is a shift of 90 minutes of news, views, reviews and interviews, treated with extra touch of fine details from NC's news top table. Tonight, Nigerians encouraged to face the future with hope, optimism and determination as Nigerian Muslims joined the rest of the world to celebrate Eid al-Kabir. In the trenches, Nigerian troops on the front line celebrate Salah with morale on the up. Excitement and commendations as troops rescued 20 kidnapped victims in Shinkafi local government area of Zamfara State. In health, authorities warn on possible outbreak of anthrax and its threat to Nigeria. Also on our lineup are reports on water transportation, the good, the bad and the ugly. On current affairs realities, our correspondent takes a look at choices motorists now make due to the amount of fuel in the tanks, and she didn't come back empty. There's a regular spot for business, culture and sports. That's your Wednesday news menu. And you know the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I'm Elizabeth Omori and this is News Extra. We begin with Eid prayers. President Bola Tinubu joined the congregation at Dodon Barracks Eid Prayer Ground, Lagos, to celebrate Eid al-Kabir. State House correspondent Musbah Dan Wahab reports that the president enjoined Nigerians to have faith and be ready to contribute their quota of the sacrifice needed for the growth and prosperity of the country.
President Bola Tinubu returned to the Eid ground he attended for 8 years as Lagos State Governor. And now, as the #1 citizen, his immediate successor as Governor Babatunde Fashola, the Deputy State Governor Femi Hamzat, his Chief of Staff Femi Gbajabiamila and the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu joined in for the two standing prayer. It was time to remind the faithful of the faith, patience and sacrifice exemplified by the Father of Faith leading to this festival of sacrifice, and the Chief Imam said Nigeria needs Nigerians to achieve its full potential.
There must be a certain level of sacrifice, commitment and dedication and concerted effort. As the Prophet ﷺ was reported to have said, "Hubbul min al-iman."
President Tinubu has consistently affirmed his readiness to lead the country to greater prosperity, but he is again demanding patriotism and faith from the citizenry.
We have to make the sacrifice, and that is clear, if we have to. But Allah will not give you a burden that you cannot carry. Will not. It's there for you. Have faith in the country. Have faith in yourself, believing that you as a citizen of this country, you must join hands. No religious identity, no tribal identity. Live with one another in joy and prosperity. It will come. Nigeria will see peace, stability, and God will grant peace to those of us who are in the war front. We spare their life, we give them victory. Those in the hospitals, we give them succor and peace, and keep them in good health.
Mr. President needs your support. As you have rallied around him, as you continue to support him, Almighty Allah will continue to support you as well. This is a difficult time for Nigeria, but we will turn that corner. We will turn that corner. All the president needs from you today and tomorrow is your prayer.
There was a special prayer for divine direction as the president directs the affairs of the country. From Lagos, Musbao and Wahab, NT News.
And here in the Federal Capital Territory, Vice President Kashim Shettima joined other Muslim faithful at the National Eid ground to observe Eid prayers in commemoration of this year's Eid al-Kabir festival. State House correspondent Adeni Taiwo reports that this is his first Salah celebration as Vice President.
Joined by the Speaker, House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas, Deputy Senate President Barao Jibrin, and thousands of other Islamic faithful, Vice President Kashim Shettima observed the customary 2 rakat prayers led by the Chief Imam of the National Mosque for this year's Eid al-Kabir celebration. In a sermon where he felicitated Muslims across the country, the Chief Imam, Professor Ibrahim Makari, notes that the Eid al-Kabir offers profound lessons on leadership and followership that Nigerians must take a cue from as the nation undergoes reforms that are crucial for sustainable development.
To intensify prayers for the leaders. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide them, because once the leaders are guided, once the leaders do the right thing, it's the number one beneficiary of this, their being on the right path, are the citizens.
Dignitaries, including members of the diplomatic corps who prayed at the Eid ground, acknowledged that Nigeria is on the right path, urging the citizens to show understanding and cooperate with the federal government.
This is an opportunity. You have a dynamic leadership now who is ready to move Nigeria to the next level. So this is the time to join this leadership, irrespective of ethnicity, irrespective of religious background, irrespective of region.
The Vice President has since departed Abuja for his country home in Maiduguri, Borno State. Adeni Taiwo, NT News.
And the Vice President was also in Maiduguri in celebration of Eid al-Kabir. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila reports that he paid Salah homage to the Sheikh of Borno, Abubakar ibn Gadbai el-Kanemi.
Well received at Muhammadu Buhari International Airport, Maiduguri, by Governor Babagana Umar Zulum and a guard of honor, Vice President Kashim Shettima proceeds through the streets of Maiduguri to the colorful palace of Sheikh Borno Abubakar ibn Garbai el-Kanemi for Salah homage. The Sheikh of Borno appreciates the Vice President for following tradition by coming home and making the palace his first point of call on Salah Day. Speaking in Kanuri, Sheikh Borno stresses the need for government to appoint competent people to steer the affairs of the nation for rapid growth and development. Vice President Shettima appreciated the royal father's role in promoting peace and unity, assuring that the Tinubu administration will give priority to special areas of concern. He called for continued support of all stakeholders in the development of the country.
We convey to him the best wishes from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and to assure him that all the issues he has raised will be vigorously addressed, especially the issue of Ikwa Gamborungala road will certainly be addressed. That of youth unemployment, youth restlessness will also be addressed. By and large, I'm here to reassure him of the maximum support of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to all the challenges confronting us as a society and as a people.
The Vice President was also hosted at Government House Maiduguri by Governor Zulum and other political associates. From Maiduguri, Abdurrahman Usman Jibrila, NTA.
Now let's move to the northwest, where the Sultan of Sokoto, Mohammed Saad Abubakar, called on Nigerian leaders at all levels to be patriotic and work towards surmounting the numerous challenges of the country. He was speaking while delivering his Eid al-Kabir message at his palace shortly after the 2 rakat prayer at the Sokoto Central Eid Ground. Zainab Saidu Abdul Nasser has more.
Roads leading to the central Eid ground were jammed with vehicles and pedestrians rushing to reach the Eid ground. The 2 units prayer had in attendance the new Sokoto State Governor, Ahmad Aliyu Sokoto, Senator Aliyu Magatakar Dawamako, and the Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar, among other Muslims.
Allahu Akbar.
The chief imam of Sultan Bello Mosque, who led the prayer, admonished Muslims to fear Allah in their dealings and avoid worldly things that will distract them from righteous things. Special prayers were offered for peace and prosperity in Sokoto State and the country in general. In his Salah message, Sultan Muhammad Sa'ad Abubakar urged leaders to do more in addressing security and other socio-economic challenges in the country. He also urged elected officers to carry everyone along and focus on fulfilling their campaign pledges. The Sultan called on security agencies in the country to fight banditry with all seriousness and urged Nigerians to pray for the country's leaders. Some of the dignitaries at the Sultan's palace, that include Bishop of Sokoto Diocese and Matthew Hassan Kuka, stressed the need for Nigerians to shun anything capable of destroying their country.
We are here to celebrate with our Muslim brothers, and the call for us is, let us be true to the principles of our religion.
I call on all fellow Nigerians to support, the new government and give it their best so that our country will continue to prosper.
In Sokoto, Zainab Said Abdul Nasir, NTA News.
So much messages on love, peace and sacrifice. They must reflect in all we do. Troops across all theaters of military operations in the country have been urged to leverage spirituality of Eid al-Kabir to pray for Nigeria as they continue to combat security challenges confronting the nation. This came to the fore during the 2023 maiden Salah luncheon for new service chiefs and troops of Operation Hadin Kai, which had Borno State Governor Babagana Umaram Zulum in attendance. Zainab Adam reports.
The Salah luncheon is an annual occasion to raise troops' morale in their operation and salute their doggedness while interacting and feasting with commanders and other senior officers. This year's celebration became symbolic as the theater continues to witness massive surrendering of insurgents, with more than 100,000 on record and counting. To this effect, the Chief of Army Staff, Major General Taurid Lagbaja, Chief of Air Staff, Air Vice Marshal Hassan Abubakar, and other principal officers stressed commitment to better the welfare of troops and enhance working synergy for successful outcomes.
I have no doubt about the zeal and commitment of our troops in working with our sister services and other security agencies of government to ensure our collective success.
It's not moving that these successes in air and ground operations would not have been possible without your sacrifices, selflessness, and devotion.
This development that we are talking about in Nigeria can never be feasible without enabling environment. And therefore we shall work together, inshallah. The rest assured of my continued support.
Governor Zulum donated 10 million naira to the wounded soldiers for their gallantry in the service to their nation. In Maiduguri, Zainab Adam, NTA News.
In the spirit of Eid celebration, friends and families usually join in merriment. However, it is important not to lose sight of the true meaning of the special occasion and the spirit of sacrifice it represents. The Aguma of Gwagwalada, Mohammed Magaji, emphasized this during a Salah homage to his palace. Adebola Brooksland Sunday will tell us how Eid al-Kabir was celebrated in that community.
As early as 8 in the morning, the Aguma Mohammed Bagaji led residents of Gwagwalada to the community Eid prayer ground for the Eid al-Kabir prayers, the feast of sacrifice or slaughtering of animals. Chief Imam of Gwagwalada, Muhammad Chukur, who led the congregational prayers, encouraged worshippers to embrace and support charitable acts. After the symbolic slaughtering of the sacrificial ram, the Aguma and other community leaders proceeded to the palace for a special Salah homage with Salaha drummers leading the procession. describing his palace as the Unity Palace, which has the representation of the major ethnic groups in council. The Aguma urged its subjects to tolerate each other and give their maximum support to the leadership of the country.
People with them, call on them, we should give the government a full support, 100%, because we don't see the change. Now, if you go to a filling station, you don't need to join the queues. So I think after some few time, I will hope the government have a plan to bring the price down.
I learned many things from my dad. The way he take people along. He don't deal with tribalism or anything. Everybody is one. The charity he gives out and much more.
Scholars say the feast of Eid al-Kabir calls for rededication to the cause of mankind, to appreciate the gift of life and to imbibe the virtues of tolerance, understanding and good neighborliness.
He has given every tribe, every ethnic group, every religion the sense of belonging. In this palace, all decisions are taken together.
Bala Madaki Garba is the administrator, known as the Waziri of the Aguma Palace.
The big band here is the Salah. This is where you will know that the leader is there, and it has a tune, it has a track. That during the festival period, the gunmen, that is the hunters, have to come out. It is a sign that yes, we farm and at the same time we hunt.
The true meaning and essence of Eid al-Kabir is submission, obedience, and love. The occasion, many agreed, should go beyond the slaughtering of rams to sharing love and material possessions, not only to relatives or acquaintances, but also with others at the lower margin of the society. Adebola, Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
I agree with you, Adebola. Religion should remain abiding force. Now, Salah celebration promotes generosity and act of sharing with neighbors and less privileged. The noble act is usually demonstrated by individuals and organizations like the Abuja Society. Umudin Haliru examines the significance and practical demonstration of this virtue.
Eid al-Kabir, or the Feast of Sacrifice, is the largest of the holy celebration in Islam. During this celebration, animals are slaughtered and sacrificial meals distributed in parts, which symbolizes Prophet Ibrahim's obedience to Allah. It also serves as the spirit of sharing, as stated in the Holy Quran. Eid prayers, festive meals, gift giving, and social gathering are all embedded in the occasion.
Salah is a time of joy, it's a time of sharing love. The Salah gives us an opportunity to greet ourselves. You have to move from house to house, at least to exhibit love you have for them.
The essence of Salah is sacrifice. So make sacrifices. Sacrifice to your God, sacrifice to the world, sacrifice to your community, to give out.
One of the things that a lot of people look forward to during Salah is having so much food of different delicacies and gifts in abundance, which translate to the spirit of giving out and being given in return. In the light of this, the Al-Habibiyya Islamic Society shared clothes to women and children to celebrate the Salah.
Before today, we had asked people to donate clothes. We are not taking old, torn clothes. We are taking clothes that are good. And here we are sharing to people who want.
Sharing remains an act of gratitude, charity, hospitality, love, and kindness that fosters a deep sense of selflessness and togetherness. It is extended to everyone as encouraged by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. In Abuja, Ummiddin Halim, NTA News.
When you give, you will always receive. Make giving a lifestyle. Obedience and sacrifice are two important virtues embedded in the Eid al-Adha celebration, demonstrated by Prophets Ibrahim and Ismail, setting precedents for spiritual rejuvenation and upliftment. Abdullah Ajiya in this report tells us more about Eid al-Kabir.
According to convinced Islamic history and the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Eid al-Adha, also known as Eid al-Kabir, is one of the most important festivals in Islam, and the celebration dates back to thousands of years. Muslims worldwide celebrate this Eid of sacrifice to commemorate both the devotion of Prophet Abraham and the survival of his son, Prophet Ismail. This important religious obligation is symbolic of the sacrifice of animals, preferably a ram, in obedience to Allah's commandment, as demonstrated by Prophet Abraham. This spiritual rite, an Islamic scholar maintains, holds high spirituality and lessons, especially for those who heed to the commandment.
Sacrifice. It is also a time that obedience is also being taught. If you notice, the history of Eid al-Adha is about obedience to Almighty Allah, obedience to one's parents, and obedience to one's husband.
The Eid al-Adha is usually celebrated on the 10th day of Dhul Hijjah of the Islamic lunar calendar, a day after the Arafat day. Going simultaneously with this moment of spiritual renewal is the social aspect of reaching out to families, relations, and the less privileged members of the society.
Also a time in which almost every aspect of Islam is also married together, to be compassionate, to fast, to take care of the family, and to take care of everybody. These are the things which the Eid has actually symbolizes.
Two supererogatory rakat prayer is performed at the Eid ground in congregation. Apart from these, social activities such as Doba, cultural displays, visitation, among others, are held. Worshippers are, however, expected to celebrate in moderation and within the precepts of Islamic teachings. In Abuja, Abdullah Hajia, NTA News.
Now let's set the conversation for the most important festival in Islam. And joining me live in the studio to discuss this is the Chief Imam of Area 8 Jumat Mosque, Ustaz Ilyasu Abdulmumini. Ustaz, thank you so much for joining us on the news.
Thank you very much.
All right, Eid al-Kabir is the biggest festival in Islam. What is the significance of the day?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. My dear viewers and listeners, Eid al-Kabir is a very important celebration because it emanated from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he migrated from Mecca to Medina. He met the people celebrating a festival for 2 days, and he told them that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had substituted the 2 days with another 2 days that is better than the one they've been observing before, which is the Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. And Eid al-Adha is a very great day because it's a day that Prophet Muhammad said that you should be happy, you should have a lot of joy, and you should be appreciating and thanking Allah Almighty for sparing your life to this time and to this day. So you should be happy and you should thank God for your life and everything and the health.
All right, Ustaz, sermons at different mosques today actually focused on peace, unity, hope, sacrifice, and peaceful coexistence. How do we leverage these virtues in our conduct?
Now, particularly the issue of sacrifice is also originated right from the time of Prophet Abraham alayhi salam, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded him to slaughter his son Ismail because as a prophet he had a dream, a vision that he was slaughtering his son Ismail, and he told him, because Allah said فَبَشَّرْنَاهُ بِغُلَامٍ حَلِيمٍ فَلَمَّا بَلَغَ مَعَهُ السَّعْيَ قَالَ يَا بُنَيَّ إِنِّي أَرَى فِي الْمَنَامِ أَنِّي أَذْبَحُكَ فَانظُرْ مَاذَا تَرَى قال يا أبت فعل ما تؤمر ستجدني إن شاء الله من الصابرين. Abraham alayhi salam told his son Ismail that he saw him in a dream slaughtering him, sacrificing him, and he called him, he told him that this is what I saw in my dream. Allah say I should slaughter you, and Ismail does not dispute that. He accepted. He told his father that he should go ahead with the commandment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to sacrifice him, and he went ahead. On the course of doing that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls him that he has fulfilled the promise of the commandment of Allah on what he saw in the dream, but Allah has substituted the slaughtering of Ismail to ram. So Allah say وَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذِبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ. Allah substituted Ismail with, or ransomed him with a great sacrifice, which is ram. So that is why now we used to slaughter ram as a sacrifice on Eid al-Adha.
Okay. All right, let's break this to nation building. In the new political dispensation, there are calls for national cohesion in various quarters, from various quarters. What is your take on this with regards to Eid al-Kabir lessons?
It's very important, because it among the lesson of Eid al-Kabir, because we converge in a mosque or in an Eid ground to celebrate Eid, that shows the unity, that shows the peace within the country. So we should inculcate that in our daily activities. It's very good for us to be in harmony, in peace, and advising each other, and also assisting the leaders to see that they achieve their aims and objectives in terms of developing this country, which is very important.
All right, Ustaz Ilyasu Abdul Mumini, we want to thank you so much for joining us on the news, and Eid Mubarak to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Inshallah.
Now, the Christian Association of Nigeria congratulates Muslims as they commemorate the values of sacrifice, love and obedience that Eid al-Kabir celebration represents. In a statement, CAN calls on Nigerians to embrace peace, unity and love, as it believes Nigeria will achieve its full potential if citizens work together to build a stronger and prosperous nation. While reiterating its commitment to promoting religious harmony and peaceful coexistence among all Nigerians, CAN urges Muslims to pray for the leaders and peace of the nation. In the same vein, the All Progressives Congress APC felicitates with Nigerians on the occasion of Eid al-Fitr. In a statement, the party's National Publicity Secretary Felix Smoker says, as this year's celebration remarkably coincides with a period in the nation's history when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is taking some courageous and decisive steps to reposition the country for rapid economic growth, Nigerians should subscribe to the virtues of sacrifice and patience as the government soldier on in the quest for a better Nigeria. Similarly, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, congratulates Nigerians on the celebration of Eid al-Kabir, urging them to use the divine occasion to pray fervently for national peace, unity, and justice in the affairs of the nation. The party's National Publicity Secretary, in a statement, asks Nigerians not to despair, but intensify efforts to further unite in love, support, and care for one another. Meanwhile, presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the 2023 general elections, Atiku Abubakar, has congratulated all Muslims on this year's celebration of Eid al-Kabir. A statement by the Waziri Adamawa's media group enjoins Muslims to take a lesson on forbearance from the sacrifice of Prophet Ibrahim and follow his noble examples in that of Prophet Muhammad by being kind and generous to the people around them. Atiku urges Muslims to pray for the country and not to be extravagant during Eid celebration. Let's take our first break now. When we return, Muslims speak on the lessons of the season. Plus, troops rescued 20 kidnapped victims in Zamfara State. You're still watching News Extra on NTA. Back to our Eid reports, the virtues of peace, tolerance, and the essence of sacrifice at Eid al-Adha for Muslim faithful formed the thrust of sermons at various Eid prayer grounds in Abuja. Hakimat Ali brings us updates.
The 2 Rakat Eid al-Adha prayers was observed at various Eid grounds in the FCT, availing residents the opportunity to pray at their convenience and location nearest to them. At the Al-Habibiyah Mosque, Imam Fuad Adeyemi led the prayer, urging Muslims to ensue peace. Similarly, at the Kuba Phase 3 Mosque, representative of the Chief Imam, Abdul Khalid, reminds Muslims to follow the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing of Allah upon him. At the Gwarimpa Life Camp Access Cafe District, Ustaz Garba Al-Yolawi led the Muslim faithful who converged on the Nurul Yakin Mosque, where he emphasized the need for sacrifice by families and the community.
We are here for 2 things. That is the Eid. This is showing the strength of Muslim Ummah, the population, the momentum, to see how people will gather for the sake of Allah.
Like all other imams, Ustaz Al-Yolawi proceeded to slaughtering the ram. And after the Eid prayer and the symbolic slaughtering of the ram by the Imam, Muslim faithful proceeded to their various homes to also slaughter their rams and continue with the merriment of Eid al-Adha. In Abuja, Hakimat Aliu, NTA News.
Thank you, Hakimat. Eid al-Kabir festival symbolizes spiritual blessings that can only be unlocked with obedience and perseverance to the wish of Allah. Muslims in Lagos are therefore calling on Nigerians to exhibit same and strengthen unity among diverse groups and faith in the nation, including understanding of government policies. Michael Olaleye reports that the Chief Imam of Lekki Central Mosque, Ridwan Jamiu, also amplified these points as he led the Rakat commemorating the symbolic festival of sacrifice.
Showers of blessings requiring perseverance and high level of sacrifice to defy. And in demonstration of the important lessons of Eid al-Kabir, Muslims were not deterred by the rains as they gathered for prayers at the Eid ground. Beyond sacrifice, the Chief Imam of Lekki Central Mosque highlighted the importance of doing the will of God. He emphasized that if Allah is requesting for little out of the multitude He has provided, man should not hesitate to give, because there are immense benefits inherent in obedience to His wish.
If Allah wants something, they should do it. If Allah doesn't want something, they should avoid it, because the world belongs to Allah and we ourselves, we belong to Allah. So He has rights to legislate on the universe and on us, and we have duty to obey Him and be loyal to Him, because He's our Lord and our God.
Notable Nigerians believe the Eid Kabir celebration presents an opportunity for the people to forget their differences and forge ahead as a united entity.
We should continue with the spirit of sacrifice, of giving, and of compassion. And it's important to have compassion in every way, particularly also in government. Compassion means that money is not meant to be stolen, but it's meant to work for the people.
It teaches us, even as Nigerians, that our leaders are, there by the will of God. So we should obey our leaders, we should listen to their will, we should pray for them, pray for Nigerians generally. This is a time for us to reflect for a new Nigeria.
The cleric, however, reminded the congregation the essence of the symbolic slaughtering of ram, which is said is still permissive till Saturday. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NTA News.
Messages of patriotism, sacrifice and good laborliness were the crux of Eid al-Kabir celebrations as Muslims around the world commemorate the day. Zenret Dingnom compiled reports on the celebrations from across the country.
The willingness of Prophet Ibrahim to sacrifice his son in obedience to Allah's command, which is the lesson of Eid al-Kabir celebration, resonated at Eid prayers across the country as correspondents from Benin, Anambra, Plateau, Ekiti, Enugu, Jalingo, Akwa Ibom,
and Ogun states report that Muslims were also urged to pray for the growth and development of the country and continue to support government's policies.
We should respect one another. We should respect the rules of law and also be ambassador of our religion.
Islam is all about two rights, the right of Allah Almighty and the right of your fellow human being. So we should be able to fulfill that and express the gratitude to Allah Almighty.
If our leaders are following the footsteps of Sayyidina Ibrahim, we have less problem in our country today. So we are appealing to the current president to formulate policies and programs that will touch the people's lives positively.
From Borno, Katsina, Nasarawa, Kwara, and Yobe, the helmsmen of the states used the occasion to reassure the people that their governments will be people-centered, following the tenets of concern for human well-being, which the faith epitomizes.
Let's be our brother's keeper. We all have hope in this country.
To continue to pray for our new president and his deputy so that they can succeed. If they succeed, Nigeria succeeds.
Thank Almighty Allah for giving us relative peace in Borno State that has enabled us to perform our obligatory functions.
In Niger, Bauchi, Zamfara, Kebbi and Jigawa states, the governors joined worshippers at the Eid grounds with messages of love, peace and mutual understanding and a collected resolve for progress.
We will continue to strive to ensure that we have done everything, we will do everything that is possible, that is humanly possible, to ensure that we have improved their welfare, we have improved their lifestyles.
We have to cooperate with government for every policy. We have to support the government in every programs that is very, very beneficial to our people.
Enjoy them to go about their lawful business and Salah festivity peacefully, and to really work hard and ensure that together we build a great Bauchi state.
Create more love and unity to ensure we encourage anything that will bring peace in Niger State.
The Imams also called on Nigeria's leaders at all levels to be patriotic and work towards surmounting the numerous challenges of the country. In Abuja, Zenred Dingmoon, NTA News.
The messages are clear. The interest of the nation must come first. Thank you, Zinret. The people of Nigeria must sacrifice today's immediate gains for a greater country tomorrow. Imam Ali Hamari gave this admonition in the sermon he preached during this year's Eid al-Kabir congregational prayers in Gombe. Emmanuel Akila reports that Governor Muhammadu Inuayaya's solemn message of peaceful celebration followed the Eid prayers.
Allahu Akbar.
Worshippers at the Gombe Central Eid ground performing the 2 Rakat congregational Eid prayers. Eid al-Kabir, according to Imam Ali Hamari, means festival of sacrifice, observed to emulate the sacrifice by Prophet Ibrahim. The Imam slaughtered the sacrificial lamb to pave way for all Muslims to do the same. Drawing inspiration from the clerics, Governor Muhammad Ino Yahya, in a Salah message, appreciates the peaceful disposition of the people, charging all to be patriotic.
I pray and I wish and pray that each and every one of us will continuously pray for our leaders. The president has shown capacity, has shown the will and the zeal to deliver on the challenges that are facing this country. So also the governors. Everybody must be on board for us to deliver.
After the congregational Eid prayers, next is the Salah Daba, which is the usual cultural activities at the palace of the Emir of Gombe. And in the midst of all of this, the people have not forgotten the messages of the cleric, which is of sacrifice for nation building.
He is urging us to pray for our leaders so that we have political stability, we will have peace, so that our leaders will be able to serve us very well.
Our people should be vigilant about this insecurity. It is not the responsibility of the police alone or the soldiers alone, but everybody.
In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
Now let's take you to Owerri in Imo State, where prayer for the country and its newly inaugurated administration, as well as the need to enhance peaceful coexistence, dominated the Eid prayers in the state capital. Loretta Arinze Agwim tells us more.
The Central Mosque, Sheikh Camp Owerri, Imo State, is beehive of activities as Muslim faithful converge to mark the Eid-el-Kabir celebration. The Deputy Chief Imam, Imo State, Malam Aliyu Umaru Uche, stressed the need for Muslim faithful to be humble, obedient and ready to make sacrifices, as exemplified by Ibrahim, who willingly offered his son for sacrifice. He urges both Muslims and non-Muslims not to relent in prayers for our leaders and Nigeria as a nation.
Obey your leaders. We should not be abusing our leaders. We should not creating rumors that is going to bring problems to our leaders.
Some worshippers speak on the benefits of the religious event.
Peace is what we need.
We use this period to celebrate among friends and relatives. So this is an opportunity for us to sacrifice and share to the needy.
It's a time and period to show love and peace among the universe.
The event climaxed with the slaughtering of ram by the Deputy Chief Imam. In Owerri, Loretta Rinze-Gwim, NTA News.
And Muslims in Asaba joined others across the world to mark this year's Eid-el-Kabir festival, a day to celebrate the willingness of Prophet Ibrahim to follow Allah's command to sacrifice his son Ismail. Chinyere Okoli reports that the festival of sacrifice marks the end of the Hajj to Mecca by faithful worshippers.
Known as the Festival of Sacrifice, Eid-el-Kabir is the second of the two Islamic holidays celebrated worldwide each year and considered the holier of the two. At the Cable Point Eid Prayer Ground, Asaba, the day begins with teaching and congregation prayers by Muslims as they trooped out en masse to perform the ritual. This followed by slaughtering of ram to commemorate Prophet Ibrahim's obedience to Allah's command to him to sacrifice his son. What is the message of the celebration?
Let us pray to God that let God give us peace in this country and give us unity of this country and progress of this country.
Other faithful worshippers urge all Muslims to use the Eid-el-Kabir celebration for sober reflection and self-examination.
Let's be our brothers' keepers. Let's have faith. Let's always be obedient.
Anywhere you find yourself, being a Muslim, you have to be a brother or sister keeper.
Let's love one another. Love is very important. Without love, we can't live. Learn to love your brothers, your sisters, those who need strength. We should be able to strengthen them.
This festival reminds Muslims of the importance of complete devotion to their faith and the willingness to sacrifice for greater good. In Asaba, Chinyere Okoli, NTA News.
Of course, love is the greatest gift of all. President, Road Safety Officers' Wives Association and wife of the Corps Marshal, Federal Road Safety Corps, Aisha Dauda Biu, has urged all well-meaning Nigerians to continue to show love to the less privileged in the country. She said this during a visit to an internally displaced persons camp in Apo area of the Federal Capital Territory. Some persons in the camp received free medical screenings as well as food items. The Rosowa president affirms that the FRAC identifies with their plight, especially challenges of displacement, while encouraging them not to lose hope, reminding them that better days lie ahead. Now, a bit on electoral matters. The federal government is soliciting more support from the European Union in a quest to consolidate democratic principles with regards to the electoral processes. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, made the appeal while receiving the European Union Election Observation Mission delegation. Kenneth Nanim reports.
The European Union Election Observation Mission is amongst the international election monitoring groups that participated in Nigeria's February 2023 general elections. 4 months later, a delegation of the group is here to formally present its final report and recommendations to the federal government.
We have 6 priority recommendations contained in the report. In
maybe 2 years' time, the European Union will deploy a follow-up mission to engage with the Nigerian authorities on implementation of those recommendations. This is a process which we have done not just in Nigeria, but in all of the jurisdictions where we've been fortunate enough to receive an invitation to carry out such a mission.
Acknowledging the role of the EU Election Observation Mission during elections, the SGF George Akume explains the trajectory of Nigeria's democratic development and points to several improvements in the electoral processes over the years. He attributed the success of the 2023 general elections to the deployment of the bimodal voter accreditation system (BVAS) and other advanced technological initiatives.
This report has just been given to me, so I don't know the recommendations. But I want to believe, and strongly too, that you are suggesting in this report that we improve on what took place. Not that we should throw away what we did, no, because we'll be doing a lot of disservice to the people of this country. Do investments here, they will yield results, and the new regime is prepared to make a difference in the way governance is carried out in this country.
He urged the European Union to continue to support the federal government and leverage the nation's human and material resources for a mutual bilateral relations. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
To Achari News, troops of Operation Hardin Darji have rescued 20 kidnapped victims in Shinkafi local government area of Zamfara State. The victims, comprising 2 ladies, 3 children and 15 men, were kidnapped by terrorists from different parts of the state. Time to take another break, but in the next segment, driving from one destination to another these days requires more than one calculation sheet. Find out the mathematics of fuel consumption. Also, our resident businessman, Benny Adams, will be in to help you mind your...
Described
Thanks
as
for
the
staying with the
melting point.
NTA. Revamping alien industries and economic diversification of the federal government will help strengthen the value of the naira among world currencies and further boost the nation's economy. This with the views of experts and stakeholders as they prefer solutions to reviving the alien sector in the country.
Described as the melting point of Nigeria, Lagos remains the commercial nerve center of the country and West Africa. This is attributed to the commercial beehive the state is reputed for. Several manufacturing companies are located across the state, and one of such is the textile factories. Nigeria's textile industry, like several subsectors under the manufacturing sector, has suffered a rapid implosion over the years, declining from a wealth-creating segment of the economy in the 1980s to one that is now literally crying for help. According to available records, by the early to mid-1980s, Nigeria had well over 180 textile mills employing more than 1 million people. Today, there are fewer than 3 full-fledged textile mills in Nigeria.
The manufacturing sector needs some kind of concessionary credit, some of which we had under the previous administration, but I'm hoping that under this new administration, the framework for the concessionary credit to manufacturing sector or to the real sector will further be revamped.
Power is made readily available. It makes our product more competitive, and when there's a lot of patronage of our own local products, then naturally it expands the business.
By revitalizing the textile sector, we can foster sustainable growth, reduce dependency on imports, and promote the Made in Nigeria brand globally.
Experts and stakeholders agree that government at all levels must be intentional with the funding of the manufacturing sector, as it is the catalyst for the economic growth and development of Nigeria. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
For more on economic matters, let's join our busy businessman, Benny Adams. Benny, you know money matters. Let's hear more.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And on money matters,
The Central Bank of Nigeria has announced new transaction limits for contactless payments in the country, effective from June 27, 2023. CBN guidelines on contactless payments in Nigeria pegs payments through accounts or wallets limit to 15,000 and a daily cumulative limit of 50,000 naira. This means that customers can make contactless payments of up to 15,000 per transaction and up to 50,000 per day without entering their PIN or biometric verification. The circular signed by Musa Jimo, Director of Payment Systems Management Department, says the move is aimed at enhancing security and convenience of contactless payments, which use technologies such as near-field communication and quick response codes to enable customers pay without physical contact with a merchant or payment terminal. And the Pan-African Payment and Settlement Systems, PAPS, is working in collaboration with Africa's central banks to provide a payment and settlement service to which commercial banks and licensed payment service providers across the region can connect as participants. Afreximbank and the African Union first announced PAPS at the 12th Extraordinary Summit of the African Union held in July 2019 in Niamey, Niger Republic, therefore adopting PAPS as a key instrument for the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Further, in its 13th extraordinary session in 2020, the Assembly of the African Union recommitted and instructed the Afreximbank and the FCFTA Secretariat to finalize with commitment to deploy the system to cover the entire continent. And taking a look at the markets, European markets close higher after breaking losing streak, while Asia markets mix as Australia inflation slows and China industrial profits sink. Nekaoko has more on global stocks update.
European markets climbed on Wednesday after tentatively breaking their losing streak at the end of Tuesday's session. The DAX rose 0.86%, with UK FTSE topping 0.69% and the French CAC gained 0.87%. Asia-Pacific markets on their part were mixed. In Japan, the Nikkei 225 rebounded more than 2% after 3 straight days of losses, crossing the 33,000 mark and closing at 33,193.99. In contrast, the Shanghai Composite was down marginally to end the day at 3,189.38, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index reversed earlier losses to climb 0.3% in the final hour of trade. In the US, stock futures inched lower Wednesday as traders digested a broad market rally in the previous session. The Dow Jones Industrial Average futures dipped 26 points, S&P 500 declined marginally, and Nasdaq 100 futures lost 0.18%. Trading in Africa was skeletal this Wednesday as most markets were closed for the Eid celebration.
That is Business News. Network News continues with Elizabeth.
Thank you, Benny. Let's talk science and development. In modern days, technologies and inventions create new job opportunities and make life easier. So many see technology adoption as a way of providing better services and increasing the perception of quality of life. Goodluck Inaini in this report takes a look at the role of invention in the economic development of Nigeria and how it has improved daily lives.
Necessity, they say, is the mother of invention. It is for this reason that things are invented and are still being invented by scientists and inventors to make life easy and promote rapid development. Many say these inventions are what differentiates the developing countries from their developed counterparts, which Nigeria belongs. Ewosa Igbinosa, a student of University of Benin who recently invented a utility vehicle, has now fabricated another prototype. Dan Azazabo invented household appliances such as plantain chip slicing machine, while Ikechukwu Samuel produced a locally made aircraft. The list is endless, and the motivation is the urge to use their skills and come up with new innovations that can change the world.
I worked on aeronautic machines like airplanes, radio control planes. I worked on electrical TV antennas, satellite antennas, and all that. Actually, I was motivated to become an engineer or an inventor because it's what I like doing.
to water the farm. You can use UAVs and drones to, to spray pesticide.
These inventors spent day and night tasking their brains to discover inventions in spite of tough constraints in the process of innovation development in Nigeria, which include institutional framework, access to raw materials, modern research facilities, human capital and laboratories, or workshop space where technical skills are distilled to students.
The problem we've had in the past is that these persons that you see putting their resources and energy in their expertise to bear, they don't get that charge from government to help them.
Experts say the Nigerian economy can compete favorably globally if innovation infrastructure, access to funding, sophisticated business community, among other challenges that can hinder the growth of technological innovation in Nigeria, are addressed.
Is there a program that takes them further, takes them to another level? For instance, we have the Bank of Industry that gives out awards, and there should be a fund that is devoted for these young people.
Nigerian innovators call on government and the business community to invest more on their innovations and prioritize their product to boost the economy. In Benin, good luck in Aini.
Technology rules the world and we must go with the flow. The new petrol pump price, now subject to market forces, has come to stay. As motorists contend with the reality, conserving fuel has become a priority for most motorists. Leader Samson reports on methods motorists are adopting to reduce their vehicle fuel consumption. Let's hear from her.
For most motorists, conserving fuel and calculating movement before the introduction of the new pump price was not a priority. Now it is. And do you know there are genuinely ways to conserve your fuel? Well, I'm not a professional driver, but since it is about conserving fuel, and with the new pump price, I'm truly interested. Gloria Essen is a journalist resident in Abuja. Her sentiments resonate with most motorists.
Initially, I used to fill the tank confidently with 12,000 naira, but right now, I just bought for 20,000 and it didn't even get to half tank. It's very difficult and it's hindering my movement. It's making me calculate where I need to go. Anywhere that is not important, I am not going.
Before the new petrol pump price regime, most motorists interviews say they drive themselves on intercity journeys, even for trivial reasons. Now, in order to reduce fuel consumption, calculating movement is synonymous with calculating cost implication.
Me, there's no special thing that I'm doing other than when I have a place to go to, I ensure that I go to like 3 places in one outing. Usually, or before now, I used to go to like anywhere I want to go to, I just go. But now I will calculate, go here, go there in one run. It works for me.
My car showed red and I need to get to the city center. I got to the filling station, then I said, fill my tank. No, I was still living in the past. I didn't know that the price now is 540. So it was going, I just sat in my car, they were filling my tank. When the attendant told me, okay, your money is 42,500 with your injector cleaner 25, that means you have 45,000 to pay. I said, what? 45,000?
I use my car now to my office, to my house, to the church, and back home. No unnecessary movement.
There are many false conceptions on how or even what can reduce fuel consumption while driving.
I went to the filling station. They showed me one tablet that I should buy and put in my fuel tank, that once I do that, my fuel will not go down. I told her I'm not buying because I'm suffering from fuel. I will now go and buy something that will knock my engine. Some people say once you get to a place, put off the engine. If you get to a slope, put off the engine and just slide down. But all those things to me seem very dangerous, so I don't do them.
Yabagi Yusuf Sani is an oil and gas expert.
Motorists now have to adjust to the realities, the new realities. One of them is their habit of driving, and also the usage of fuel, it has to be adapted to the new realities. What do I mean? You now need to maintain your vehicles properly so that the engine will run efficiently. You also will avoid a situation where the idle time is prolonged, so that you don't just consume fuel unnecessarily.
For taxi drivers whose livelihood depends on driving, they say increasing transportation is the only way they can reduce the impact of the new petrol pump price. The motorists say though movements with their cars are restricted to conserve fuel, they are more disciplined in the face of the new reality. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
It's indeed a new reality because some persons have taken to walking and some do not hit on the accelerators anymore. Fuel subsidy removal, a step in the right direction. Time for more messages. In the fourth segment, we have a health warning. And on the straits separating two continents, a correspondent sails on the Bosphorus. You will see what he brought for us. You're still watching News Extra, and our menu is still sizzling. From Kebbi to Bayelsa, the River Niger courses through several states, pouring into the Atlantic. This river, like other natural ecosystems, holds the promise of thriving tourist economy. Our next report is a memoir set on the Bosphorus, the sea strait, along which Europe meets Asia, an example of how nature can become national treasure. Onenge Fineface is the author of this memoir.
Istanbul, Turkey's largest city. A reservoir of culture and history. One city, one nation, situate on two continents, straddling Europe and Asia across the Bosphorus Strait. Every wave a chapter of history, of the strait that brings the Black Sea through the Sea of Marmara to the oceans of the world. The Bosphorus experience is a love story told in ceaseless waves.
This canal, like the Suez Canal, it works a lot. Every day, about less than 200 big carriage ships pass that bridge.
A tourist delight, home to curious souls from far and near. It is a natural beauty, as it is a lesson for visitors.
They know what they have here in their country and they're making good use of it, especially when it comes to tourism, which is actually expanding. And I think this could be something that the Gambia could do, owing to the fact that it is one of the most exotic tourism attraction places in Africa, or to say.
A visit to Istanbul, Turkey, naturally would not be complete without an experience of the Bosphorus, the famous point where Asia meets Europe in the same country.
I'm standing in Europe now, and just across this water is Asia, and I've been reading about it, I've been seeing videos of this place, and I'm fortunate to be here now. It's really interesting.
I've heard things said about the Bosphorus. I've actually seen the Bosphorus from a distance, but this cruise ship, Liverpool Magic, gives me the opportunity to take an actual ride on the Bosphorus. It's a journey that began on the wings of anticipation and great expectations. The journey ends with a sense of fulfillment that, like the flowing verve of the Bosphorus, the many sons of my country, Nigeria's natural potentials, will rise sooner than later. Onengie Fineface, NTA News.
That's an awesome experience of a lifetime. Well, back home, the Cross Rivers House of Assembly has called for thorough investigation and prosecution of those found culpable in the boat cruise mishap. The House also condoled with families of the 3 medical students who died during the mishap in Calabar recently. Udwak Eaton reports.
The Cross River State House of Assembly expressed sadness over the cruise boat accident which occurred on Saturday, 24th of June 2023 at Marina Resort, Calabar. The cruise was embarked upon by the Nigerian Medical Students Association in Calabar as part of its annual calendar for its Health Week.
I'm calling on necessary headquarters to ensure that a thorough investigation is carried out. And that is carried out by the people that are found complicit or wanting. The law should take its course.
The speaker condoled with the families of the 3 students who lost their lives. In Calabar, Udwak Etam, NTA News.
Talking health now, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development and the National One Health Coordinating Unit have issued health advisory against possible outbreak of anthrax in Nigeria. A statement jointly signed by the Chief Veterinary Officer of Nigeria, Dr. Kolumba Vakuru, and the Director General, Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Dr. Ifedayo Adetifa, confirmed an outbreak of anthrax both in human and animal by Ghana Health Service. The statement posits that influx of people from the West African sub-region into the nation places Nigeria at risk. The statement adds that federal government has put in place measures including establishment of a national anthrax technical working group and dissemination of information to notify vets, catereras, and the public of the outbreak in the northern region of Ghana. Nigerians are advised to avoid all non-essential travels to the northern region of Ghana, slaughtering of animals at home, rather use abattoirs or slaughter slabs. Anthrax is a severe disease caused by bacteria which can affect both humans and animals such as cows, pigs, camels, sheep, and goats. In the concluding segment of the news, we have